You love consuming organizing and decluttering content. You've been watching these videos for years. You think, I'm gonna watch this video and then make it happen in my own home. But for whatever reason, it hasn't happened yet. Maybe it's motivation, maybe it's money, maybe it's time. Whatever the reason, we're gonna figure it out today. By the end of this video, you're gonna be super motivated. You're gonna have realistic timelines and expectations for yourself. And there will be no reason why you cannot have an organized and decluttered home. I'm Alexandrabeuter. I've been posting organizing, cleaning, and decluttering content literally for years. I have hundreds of videos on this topic, and there are 10 common reasons why some of my viewers think they cannot make these systems happen for themselves. So we're gonna get into the first point. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to my channel, and let's get started with number one. The first reason you may be struggling to organize and declutter your home is your expectations for yourself are too unrealistic. Now, this is a very important point, and if you are watching content and you want to reorganize your pantry, for example, but the content that you watched was a huge, beautiful pantry with a million organizers, and you think to yourself, well, I can't do that because that would cost me $500. That is not the point of the content that you're watching. And just remember that a lot of content on the internet is shock value. It's big, it's grand, but that is not reality for 99.9% of people watching it, probably more. So think about what's realistic for your own space, and just because it's not going to end up exactly like the content that you watch, that doesn't mean that it is not amazing. Now, a lot of you guys also think that organizing is really expensive, and it absolutely does not have to be. I want to be the first person to tell you that if you're organizing and decluttering, you can still have a beautiful organized space without a ton of organizers. Start with where you are at. Even if you were just able to group items in like categories, that is still a million times more organized than that space that you're thinking about is right now. If you do want to get some affordable organizers, I always recommend the dollar store or Dollar General, Dollar Tree. They have such affordable organizers for very incredible prices. And also the Home Edit collection at Walmart, you guys have heard me talk about a lot too. Those are a few dollars more, but still so many organizers under $10. The next thing that I will do to make organizing as affordable as possible is whenever I do buy an organizer, I always make sure it could be used in a variety of ways in a variety of spaces. I like to stay motivated with how my home looks, how it's organized and decluttered, so sometimes I will redo a space and I will not spend a single penny because I have organizers from projects from several years ago that I'm able to use again. So when you are spending money, when you are investing in organizing, always think to yourself, if I can use this in at least 3 or 4 spaces, it is worth the few dollars that it cost. Now, here's an example. I had these organizers at my old house. I now have them at my current house, and that is just one example, but I have so many photos like that where these organizers, I bought them years ago. I'm still using them. I will be using them for years more. So they end up being worth the price and honestly paying for themselves. The next reason you might be struggling to organize and declutter your space is because you actually have too many organizers. So yes, the opposite of the last point can be true. Now, one of my favorite examples about this is one that I am guilty of too. And whenever you watch kitchen organization content, you're probably watching someone put all of their spices into a new spice container with a lid and a label, and it's very aesthetic and beautiful. But then they also have all of the leftover spice containers, so they end up having 2 areas of spices instead of 1. Now, if you are someone who just loves to organize and you think it's such a fun hobby and having those spices organized is a motivator for you to eat at home, to eat healthy, then girl, live your best life and do it. But if you are someone who's only doing this because you feel like you should be, it is not worth it. Organization from your home to mine is going to be a little bit different, and the sooner you realize that and know that it's okay that everything isn't the same and everything isn't at the same level of importance to me and you, the better. So don't feel like you have to do every organization trend out there because you simply do not and you shouldn't. The next reason you might be struggling to organize and declutter is because you've been told a big fat lie, and that is if you have the perfect organization system, you are never going to need to maintain it, and that is simply not true. Now, how often your space needs to be maintained is really going to depend on how many people you live with. The more people that live with you, the more these spaces are used, the more they need to be maintained. But you should have easy organization systems in place where everyone knows what it's supposed to look like, where things are supposed to go, so that they can organize it and maintain it along with you. And I literally have the most perfect example. The other night, my husband came home and he started going through the pantry, decluttering it. We just had family staying with us, so we had a bunch of extra snacks. We hadn't had a chance to go through it in a while. Things were adding up and we knew it was time to go through it. And we have had the same system in our pantry for about 2 years now, and it has worked flawlessly. So my husband, he didn't have to ask me. He knows where everything is supposed to go, and it's easy enough for him that he just opens the door and literally started going through the entire thing top to bottom. He didn't know I was planning on filming this video. I still haven't told him, but I took a few shots for you guys to show you, because that to me is everything. When your family knows where things are supposed to go, when it's not overwhelming for literally anybody, you will be surprised by how much help you actually get in those maintenance routines. You also might be failing to stay organized and decluttered because you are getting too specific. Now, one thing I really want you guys to remember from this video is that you can group like items in containers, baskets, and bins and still live a very organized life. Quite frankly, it's a lot more realistic, it's a lot less time consuming, and it's a lot more affordable. So in our pantry, we have one row with 5 bins where our snacks go. We try and group the chips and the crackers together, and then the fruit snacks, the school snacks, the fruit, and so on and so forth. But regardless, we know the bins on that level are for snacks, and if it's a snack and it's in a bin on that shelf, it's in the right place. We do this with toys as well. One thing I see is playrooms with a ton of drawers, and literally every drawer is a different item. That to me seems like the most time-consuming, stressful, impossible thing to maintain ever. So we have these big slider out bins for cars. Lots of different cars are in those bins, but guess what? I know in that huge bin, it's gonna be a car. We do the same thing for stuffed animals. I've seen this with hair tools. I've seen this with kids' clothing. So please remember, if you are overwhelmed, especially if you are a perfectionist, because I know a lot of you are, and that's why you haven't been able to start, then grouping like items in bins and baskets is going to be your best friend. This next point is super interesting and actually taught me a lot about what you, the viewer, want to see from organization content. So on YouTube, if I film an organization video and I put the word aesthetic in the title, it generally is a less successful video. And I think that's for a few reasons. People think aesthetic organization is too time consuming, too expensive, not practical, a variety of reasons. And I do think for some people that's definitely the case. I think organization should always be about function first and foremost over what it looks like, obviously, right? If it's not functional, it's not worth it. But I also think some people are very motivated by aesthetics, and it will help motivate them to maintain those spaces. So I posted my kitchen sink organization on Instagram, and I measured for this space how I would fit all of the organizers in there. It was a little bit time consuming, but it's been over 2 years and I still use the exact same setup, so that measuring was absolutely worth it. But what really offended some people is how many sponges I had when I was organizing it, because I bought everything in bulk. I bought a pack of sponges, 2 different styles, hearts and rectangles, like the standard style. And I bought them in bulk because it saved me money, it saved me time. I didn't have to go buy them super regularly. They were gonna last me months, but I just wanted to point this out because what works for you might not work for somebody else. And that is the whole point of organizing your own home. Your style is gonna be different than someone else's. Your setup is gonna be different, but if it works for you, then you should absolutely do it. You also might be failing at organizing and decluttering because the systems you already have in place are too time consuming. Now, I have failed at this. I love to use myself as a failure example when I have done it the wrong way. Now I'm doing it the right way and I can save you time and money. So at my last house, I had a larger pantry. This was a couple of years ago. This was the time where airtight containers were all of the rage. Everyone was posting pantries full of airtight containers, and I thought I had to do that too. You guys, I was literally dusting the containers. That is how many I had. Probably 30 of them. Now I have 4. And 4 is way more practical and realistic. First and foremost, airtight containers typically have a lot of pieces. The last style I had, the lid was at least 3 pieces, and then a liner, and then the base. And the ones I have now are 3 pieces total. So they are a lot more practical. They are a lot easier to wash and maintain. And now I just have 2 large ones, either cereal or potato chips, and 2 small ones for snacks. So I have a 5-year-old, I will buy some individual snack packs, and then I will buy things in bulk, put them in the airtight containers so we can use them and they won't go bad and go stale. And having 4, I will recommend to literally everyone over the 20 or the 30. Some of those aesthetic and beautiful systems that seem like they're worth it truly are not. So this is one where I have failed, I learned the right way, and now I want to pass that information off to you. You also might be struggling with organization and decluttering because you are starting wrong. If you watch a closet declutter and you see someone with 1 drawer of sweaters, 1 drawer of pants, 1 drawer of t-shirts, and then you have a big pile of clothes and you start adding things into those drawers and you go, wait a minute, this is not going to work for me. I have way more pants, I need way more pants, shirts, whatever it is. You are starting wrong. What you should be doing every time you organize and declutter is putting everything that you know you're gonna keep into like piles. So you've already gone through those items, you know you're gonna keep it, you know you're gonna use it and not donate it, great. You've got those piles of your pants, your t-shirts, and your sweaters, and then you decide, okay, where can I put these items in my own home? Because what you watch on the internet is not what's gonna happen in your own home. You likely will have very different quantities of items than the inspiration that first inspired you to do this project in the first place. So that is where you should start with every project, whether it's your pantry, your kitchen sink, your bathroom, your makeup, your clothing, whatever it is. First, understand and realize the amount of space that you're going to need before you decide where you're going to put it. This next point is one you're probably not going to see in any decluttering organization video, and that is to know when excess works. All of us have excess of something. That is human nature. So don't get me wrong, I'm trying to be a lot more of a minimalist than I have been in the past. But also, maybe you're really into something. Maybe you're really into makeup and you have extra. If you have somewhere to put it, that is okay. Maybe you're really into hats. Hats are my example because I recently posted a decluttering video of my downstairs closet, and there were a lot of comments saying my husband had too many hats. But guess what? He loves his hats, and he doesn't care about anything I have. So I'm not gonna tell him to get rid of hats. He likes them, he wears them. I know it's excessive, but it's a small price to pay for happiness. You should want to be in your home. You should feel motivated in your home. So if having a little excess here and there makes you happy and you've got a place to store it, that's all that matters. Next, I want you to remember that there is not a wrong way or right way to declutter. There is a right way for you and a wrong way for you. Everyone is different. All of our abilities are different. And I did say this before, but please remember the content that you watch around this topic is purely inspiration. If you are someone who thinks, well, there's no reason to start because my space is not going to look like them, that is the absolute wrong way to think about it. Instead, I want you to think about time. So if you're someone who's really overwhelmed, tell yourself, I'm going to take an hour this week on decluttering. I'm gonna give myself an hour every single week. It could be 10 minutes a day, but I really like to space it out into longer chunks over less time. So that's why I really like the 1 hour a week rule. You will be amazed in a month, in 4 hours, how many items you are able to get rid of and how many spaces you are able to organize. And then you're gonna be super motivated and you're gonna keep going the whole year. And in a whole year, the amount of items, 1 hour a week that you can declutter and organize is truly amazing. So please remember with this topic, we are playing the long game, you guys. This is a long game. This is not a quick result. You really want to be able to shift your mindset into doing this regularly, and you will be blown away by what your space looks like 1 year from now. My last point is a little bit controversial, and I know not everyone is going to agree with me. That's why I'm keeping it at the end. But I also know so many of the viewers watching this video are just trying to keep your head above water. You're trying to keep your house clean. You're trying to keep it as organized as you can, while also having a busy life as a mom or working or both. And I do want to talk about single-use items a little bit because I was reamed recently for my single-use iced coffee cups that I recycle, by the way. And I think we are living in the busiest the world has ever been. We have more expectations than we have ever had. And sometimes those single-use items really just help you to literally get through the day. I have less dishes to put away, but also I've made a conscious effort to not go through drive-thrus and get takeout as much, because that is the most insane amount of single-use items I have ever seen in my life, and I don't feel like people talk about that enough. So please be environmentally conscious when you are organizing and decluttering, and make sure things get into the right bins, the recycling bins, and things are donated instead of thrown away if they can be reused, and so on and so forth. But I also just want to allow you to allow yourself to make your day a little bit easier when you need it. So those are all 10 reasons on why I think, as someone who's posted hundreds of videos about organizing, declutter, and cleaning, why some people really struggle to do this. And I hope I've helped you to break down those barriers so you can do it too. I really encourage you to be realistic with your expectations for yourself, to remember it is a marathon, not a sprint, and most importantly, to remember you can do it. Recent videos and so much more are linked down below in that description. Thank you so much for spending the time with me. Please like and subscribe if you haven't yet, and I will see you right here in a few days in a brand new video. Bye.